Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining. We're still expecting some people to trickle in, but I think we'll get started because we want to for sure finish at 1 o'clock, and we've got a lot of topics to cover today. So just wanted to say welcome and introduce myself. I'm Kelly Garcia. I'm the project director for the Cross Commodity Leadership Support Project, which is a new partnership between 5 industry organizations in tree fruits and wine grapes. And so we were asked to coordinate this session by Tyrion and Melissa. And I also would like to introduce Shelby, who's the Communications and Administration Manager for the CCLSP. And she's the one that's been coordinating with all of you to get you to the session and has been organizing with Jay. And special thank you to Jay for joining us today. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Tyrion for a few words.
Great, thanks, Kelly. So I'm Tyrion Miskell. I work for the BC Grape Growers Association. I'm really excited about these presentations, mainly because we are working across commodities. Lots of work is being done in the last couple of years to try and work together with apples, cherries, and grapes to strengthen our voice and to add capacity to what we're doing, because all our organizations are small. And we have all these crossovers. That's how, if the CCLSP, the Cross Commodity Leadership Program, came about, was to add capacity to our small commodity organizations. And so Kelly and Shelby speak to us, and we as a voice to the growers. So they're not actually a grower support organization. They're a support organization for us, supported by the ministry. So super excited. We've been working in the background with Melissa and Beth from Apples and Cherries to try and find every avenue possible to find support for growers this year. It's slow going. There's lots going on, but you will be hearing from us over the next few months about every opportunity of financial support that we can find. So this is one of the ones that has come up, is Ag Credit Corp. Really well known in the rest of Canada, in different commodity groups, is fairly new to BC. I think, there are a few grape growers and apple growers that use them, and cherries that use them, but I think we're just here today to give you an introduction to the services that they could use. Please ask lots of questions. The questions you have will serve us as well to try and address, will give us a better idea of where growers are at and how we can address those problems. Not just here with Ag Credit Corp, but in a larger picture as well. So I'll leave it at that. Really happy that you're here. Hope that this is really good information. Please come as well to Farm Credit Canada's presentation next Thursday as well. So I'll pass it over to Jay from Ag Credit Corp.
Thanks, Tyrion. So my name's Jay Atkins. I'm the CEO of Agricultural Credit Corporation. So thanks to Tyrion and to Kelly and Shelby and to Melissa for coordinating this and putting it together. I've got about 10 slides here. I'm just going to go through to kind of sum up a little bit about the program that we offer to producers. We know it's been some interesting times out there, particularly in the tender fruit and for the grape growers. So some of the comments that I've had today, I've been asked by that group to talk to you about, and to talk about the program that we offer. So I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, so Agricultural Credit Corporation, what we are is we are a not-for-profit organization. We've been around for 32 years, and what we do is we offer federal and provincial government programs to agricultural producers. So why ACC, or why use us? We actually started out very similar to what Kelly and Shelby are doing today where there were a number of organizations that came together in order for us to, in order to have one single source of funding for programs. So people say, why use ACC? A little bit about the organization. We're a not-for-profit. We will lend out about $1 billion, just under $1 billion this year. We're here to help get producers access to funds. We have money that we lend out at extremely low rates or zero rates, and it's easy to apply. So that's what our role is in this whole thing. We're not doing it for the profitability of it or the glory of it. We're just doing it so that producers across Canada have access to some of these programs. So the one program that we offer is called the Advanced Payments Program. It's a federal government program where a producer can get up to $1 million. The first $250,000 of that is interest-free, or up to that amount is interest-free. The balance is at prime, which is equal to or better than a lot of the banks right now. And what we do is we lend under that program 50% of the expected market value. So if you're selling a bushel of product and it's worth $4 a bushel, we will lend you $2 on it. Today, we lend over 4,500 different products, including livestock, cattle, sheep, goats, lamb. And under the program, you have to pay the loan back either when you sell the produce or within 18 months, whichever comes first. We're relatively easy to get an application filled out. Basically, all you have to do is contact us over the phone. It takes about 15 or 16 minutes. We actually measure all that to complete an application with one of our team members. We send it back to you for a signature along with any documents we require, such as a birth certificate or something like that. And you email it back to us and you're done. We do renewals in less than 10 minutes over the phone. If you're dealing with a financial institution, which most of you are today, and they have security on your crop or your production insurance or your agri-stability, and we need a priority agreement, we deal with that. So you don't have to deal with your bank on this at all. Banks are very supportive of us. They don't see us as a threat, but we tend to take a lot more risk than what the banks do, and they acknowledge that. And sometimes loans are just a little bit above their risk appetite, so they will send them to us. So we work with all of the major banks and including Farm Credit. If you have been with us 1 year and want to come back, you can go online and pull down a pre-populated application that's already completed for you. We have online access to client loan statements, so you can go in at any point and see what you owe or how much you've paid. We do everything electronically, so we don't write checks. Funds are electronically transferred into your account, and when you want to make a payment back to us, you can do it either by calling us, by going online, or by e-transfer. No different than you would pay your hydro bill or your cell phone bill or television or anything else. You can go on, make us a payee, and pay us that way as well. Applications, the program starts at 2 different points in the year. It starts on November 1st and it starts April 1st for some commodities, depending on the commodities. Under grapes, your commodity starts April the 1st. But what we tend to do is contact our producers long before that in order to get the application completed over the phone, filled out or renewed, and have that money sitting there for you as close to April 1st as we can. As I said earlier, this year, producers can get up to a minimum of $250,000 free. If that's more than what you require, any amount that you want to borrow up to that point is all interest free. And again, the cap is up to $1 million. which basically says you're going to get 250,000 interest free this year and 750,000 at prime. When you contact us and complete an application over the phone and we send it to you and you sign it and send it back to us, from that point to the time you get funds in your account is approximately 12 days. We do charge for this service. Our fee is $1,000 per application. It's regardless of whether you apply for $10,000 or whether you apply for $1 million. It's the same fee across the board. There are no other fees. There are no hidden fees. There's no inspection fees or anything like that. Account maintenance fees, all of those things. We don't have any of those. We just have one administration fee. And as I said, it's as simple as going online to fill out the application if you want, or we prefer you just call us. I tease farmers that if they're sitting in their pickup for the next 10 or 12 minutes, they can apply for a loan with us. We operate in Ontario, Quebec, BC. We've just expanded into Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta for certain crops. So we have been dealing with BC crops for about 5 years, I guess 6 years now. And we are expanding in the market out there, but we just thought this was a great opportunity to get a cross-commodity sector on the line and to talk to you. And the other issue is, as you are all well aware of, it's going to be a difficult year for some commodities because of the weather that we've had. So our loans can be used for anything from crop inputs to land rent to any costs associated with labor or seed or fertilizer or chemicals or feed for cattle. We don't really audit what you spend the money on. So unlike a bank that says, okay, do us a budget with, how much you're going to spend on fertilizer and chemical and pruning and all the other things, we don't ask for any of that. We basically, as a producer organization, give you the loan and you spend it as you see fit. And our only rule is, as you sell the crop, you have to pay us back. All of the loans that Agricultural Credit Corporation kicks out under the Advanced Payments Program have to be secured by one of three things: either production assurance or agri-stability or inventory. So I know a lot of producers will carry production assurance. Some carry agri-stability, some do not. But we certainly know a lot of producers will carry production assurance. And in most cases, that's the first thing that we take for security. Interesting enough, we don't take anything else for security other than the production insurance and the assignment of the proceeds. So we don't get into tying up chattels or tying up mortgages and doing things like that. It's just not what we do. So we always will take production insurance or ag stab. As I mentioned, some programs start in November. The programs for the majority of producers probably on this call, knowing the farm organizations that have put this together, the majority of you, the program started April 1st. If you're interested in knowing what we lend on, you can go on to our website at www.agcreditcorp.com, and we have a sheet on there, a pricing, product and price sheet that you can pull down, and it'll show you all of the products in each of the provinces that we lend on. Just a moment here. This is not wanting to roll down. So at ACC, we know it's important for everyone to keep up the maintenance on your orchards. My understanding of the vineyards had some major damage on them out there this year, but it doesn't mean you can just simply go a year and not do anything with them. You still need the maintenance in order to ensure that the vines remain as healthy and heal, and we understand that. And our program also offers an additional alternative sourcing of funds. So if you are having some difficulty with your financial institution, we encourage you to call us. Like I say, most of the financial institutions like the fact that we lend, and particularly like the fact that the money's interest free and the producer's going to save $27,000 in the first year in interest. As I said, the program we offer is the lowest rate available in the marketplace. There's nobody that offers a lower interest rate. It's quick and easy. And as I said earlier, it doesn't really tie up any other security like your land and equipment. We know for the 2024 year, particularly for grapes and tender fruit growers, it's going to be a difficult year because of the frost we had earlier in the year. We know that producers can apply for crop insurance, and we know that the government recognizes that even as they apply, they will be in a claim position. And we know that as well at ACC. We recognize this, but we're still willing to lend based on what your past performance yield average has been. Our turnaround time, just to keep you the most up to date today, is about 12 days from the time you sign the application till the money's funded into your account. And that's statistics as of yesterday. We will take insurance on the crop and an assignment of the production insurance as security, and that's all we'll take. And again, as I mentioned earlier, if a priority agreement is required from your bank, we will look after getting that. So basically, from a producer standpoint, from your standpoint, all you really have to do is pick the phone up and give us a call. The rest of the stuff we will look after. One of the things I was asked to talk a few minutes about is how to deal with financial institutions during some of the situations and times that some of you may be in or entering into. And I've been in banking about 35 years, and I will tell you basically the following things are actions that you should or should not take when you're dealing with your banker during this time of year. Number one is don't ignore your banker. Most of them know right now that there's a lot of damage in a lot of the crops in BC. They already know that. It's no surprise. They will likely be expecting to hear from you. Be proactive. And when you go to them, understand that they're not going to have a plan for you. They're going to depend on you to develop a plan and bring it to them to lay out how you maneuver through this year and plan for the future. Communications is important with them, with your financial institution. Communicate. The more the communications, the better chances that those organizations can assist you. And the other thing is maintain correspondence. If you have a plan and they agree with you, let them know how the plan's going. Maintain that communications with them to let them know where your, how much of damage was incurred, where you feel your crops are at, if you're going to be able to harvest crops and what you think may be available. Like I say, you can't under communicate with them, and be honest and open because they already know. I've talked with a number of financial institutions over the last month in British Columbia, and they know what's going on with the crops and the markets, and just be honest and open with them. The other thing is realize that solutions take time. If you go in, you think you're going to have a 30-minute meeting with your financial institution or a 45-minute meeting with your financial institution, and you're going to come out and everything's going to be great. That's probably not how it's going to happen. Solutions take time. They have to be developed, they have to be accepted, they have to be approved at various levels of the financial institutions. And just understand it's going to take a little bit of time. It may take a few days to a week to 10 days, but just understand that there's certain areas or certain levels of acceptance that they're going to have to go through that we encourage you to be patient on. The other thing is, if you promise to do something, make sure you achieve those commitments. If you're talking with your financial institution and say, you know what, we're going to put a plan together and we're going to get it to you next week, do that. If you are going to commit, make sure that you follow through on it. Make sure you do it on time, and if you can't or are unaware or unsure of when you can do it, don't commit to it. It's better not to commit to it than it is to commit to it and not be able to meet the deadline. The other thing is be professional. I can assure you there is no one producer in British Columbia today that is going through this. There are hundreds, if not thousands, that are going through some of this. Be professional and, like I say, be specific in your plan as to exactly what you want to do, when you're going to do it, and how you're going to do it. And if you can follow these things that I've just got on the screen here, getting along with your financial institution is going to be pretty easy. And because they understand the hurt that the frost and that's caused, and understand the production is going to be far below what would be average. How do I apply to this thing? For us, it's very easy. Pick up the phone and call us. We get more compliments on our staff than we do any other thing about the program. And so feel free to contact some of our folks. They'll walk you through everything you need to do. They'll tell you what you need to email over to us, and it's done. And again, that phone call takes about 15 minutes. For any of you who your primary language is not English, we can offer service in about 14 different languages, and we're happy to do that, or set up a time when it's convenient for you. If you can't take the time when your initial call, we'll be happy to set up an appointment over the phone to complete an application with you. So that's a little bit about our organization and about the program that's available right now. I know there's lots of other talks going on, and everybody's looking for solutions. And there are a lot of people out there working on your behalf that are trying really hard to assist. So, thank you. Questions?
Thank you very much, Jay. That was excellent information. So if people have questions, I encourage you to go to the bottom of your screen and click the reaction button, and then your hand will be raised like this, and then I'll make sure not to miss you. If you don't know how to do that, just turn on your camera and wave, and we'll get to you that way as well. Okay, so we've already got a question here. Go ahead. Asif? Just need to unmute, and then we can hear you. Maybe I can unmute you. No.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Go ahead.
So, yeah, I have a couple questions. One is when we do get loan, first I would like to say that ACC got a good stuff. You call them anytime, they are great help. But
Thank you.
is some, so there is some issues the growers are having. One is when we use a crop insurance, so crop money comes in, is ACC take the 100%. So that grower could be in a pinch that time. I recommend it should take a 50%, leave some money for a grower.
And so what we do, Asif, when you do pay, if it's a production insurance, the program guidelines say you have to pay us back at the rate in which the product was lent. Okay. So if you had a bushel of something and it was $4, you only have to pay us back at $2 a bushel. Okay. With a production insurance, what we will do is and I'll be straightforward with you. We always want to have some of the assignment or some of the production insurance. We'll know what you'll be getting. So long as we make sure it's spread out over a period of time. So as you get a chunk, we get a chunk. As you get a chunk, we get a chunk. That's our preference of being able to do it, particularly this year, particularly in BC.
Yeah, if the guys have a tonnage is enough, like same as you say, the bushel, like $2 a bushel.
Right.
And if you got enough bushel, you guys should not take the whole crop insurance, should leave some for a grower.
We will. Yes, we will this year.
Yeah. And the
Good.
other is the growers are going to have facing this year's whole industry, probably grapes and everything. They're
Right.
not going to have enough crop to cover to repayment the ACC's loans. So
Right.
whoever is not able to cover up his loan, he's
Yep.
going to pay his from his own money, but ACC will charge a penalty for that. So that's not right.
If it's paid within the next year and a half, there is no penalty. Okay, so as long, particularly if there's no crop, because our rules basically say you have to pay us as the crop is sold or at the end of 18 months, whichever comes first. Okay, so you will have up to 18 months to pay us. All right. And hopefully, like I say, hopefully through production insurance, if we're lending 50% of the value, production insurance is what, 70%, I guess you can get up to, or 75% you can get up to. So there should be sufficient funds there to pay us back and to make sure the producer gets some of that money.
Yeah, I just made my last payment to the ACC.
Yes.
And they told me I don't have enough money to pay all the loans. If I
Okay.
don't pay from my sales, I have to pay a penalty on it.
Yeah,
and they took my
what we want you to do is, as you sell the crop, to pay us, because the crop is what we have for security. So it's kind of like if you borrow for a car, if you sell the car, somebody wants to get paid for the car. And we're the same way, because the only security we have on your loan is the product or the production insurance, one or the other. And so that's why we get pretty excited, because we want either the crop or we want production insurance to pay us. But once we're paid, then the rest of the crop insurance goes back to the producer, and we have to pay it back to you within 6 days. So if you got a production insurance check that was for $100,000 and you owed us 60, and that was the final check you were going to get, we would take the 60 and we have to have the $40,000 back to you within 6 days.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, those are kind of the things. Like, if it's on the last payment, if my crop was not sold for the amount to cover my loan,
Right.
I shouldn't pay for penalty, or no grower should pay for penalty. So
Right,
they
right.
make their payment from their own money at the
Right.
deadline. If they're making on
Right.
time a payment, then
Yeah, I
shouldn't be
know.
any penalty.
Yeah, I know. And we argue it once in a while, because we argue with Ag Canada over this, Steve, because Ag Canada says, well, you have to pay us, and you have to pay us as the crop sells and everything else. And our argument's always been to Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada, as long as the producer pays us, I don't really care where you got the money from. And it's frustrating, because we've been working on trying to change that with Ag Canada for about 7 years. And I don't know if we're getting any closer or not, but I agree with you 100%.
All right, I'll let you pass somebody else. So thanks for answering all the questions.
Okay.
Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
you,
Thank you
Steve.
very much. Okay, before I go to the next person, I'm going to just read you a question from the chat, Jay.
Sure.
So Does ACC look at tax papers even if crop insurance is in place at a good amount?
Not usually. We'll look at crop insurance. We will request either a personal income tax or a financial statement if there are red flags that show up. So for example, if we do a credit check and a person's credit score is extremely low, then we may ask for the tax papers, or we may ask for a financial statement. But in the vast majority, we don't. We don't turn that many people down each year. And so there's certain red flags that we get flagged with that the government says we have to request something, but usually it's a credit score or something like that. If we see there's a lawsuit or pending or something like that, then we will ask for a tax paper.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to Jeffrey now. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
Yeah, thanks, Jay, for a great presentation, and thanks to everybody who's working hard in BC to connect with ACC and get this program going for our farmers. The question I have is just related around the wine industry, and a lot of the grapes that are grown here are grown by businesses that have integrated estate winery businesses, and essentially the sales are to themselves. The sales of grapes are to themselves, and
Yes.
go on to make wine from those grapes.
Yes.
Just wondering consideration or how you're looking at how your program might be adapted to the wine industry. Particularly what's the triggering event for the 18-month clock,
Right.
when you're going on to making wine out of your grapes, and that's the end product.
So the 18-month, good questions, Jeff. The 18-month program starts the time that as of April 1st. Okay, that's the program start date. So you've got 18 months. So you have till September the 30th of the following year to pay it back. We have taken before a year and a half ago, and I brought it back up with them actually this past week. We have taken up with the government the idea of having a set price and allowing us to take wine as inventory. And we haven't got them convinced of it yet. I tried it about a year and a half ago, and we got really, really close. But I didn't close the sale with them. Let's put it that way. For us, we would be fine as an organization taking wine as security. The issue falls under that wine is not an agricultural product. Grapes are. All the other products you make wine out of are, but we haven't got Ag Canada convinced that wine is still an agricultural product, because their claim is that, well, it's been processed, and we understand that, but there are many growers that have wine in inventory that could be used for security if we can get Ag Canada to approve it, but they haven't approved it yet.
Jeff says that's debatable. I may be able to help you with that argument. So maybe you want to touch base with him
good.
offline.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
Tyrion, go ahead, Tyrion.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to follow up on what Jay was saying and Jeff was saying, that we are working, that piece is federally regulated, is what Jay has said, and that we are working. We have sent letters to the Ministry of Ag to ask them that on behalf of the industry. So there is lots of work going on in the background in the way of that. And Jeff, I will follow up with you on that as well. Thank you.
Yeah. Ontario would like the same thing, Jeff. And that's where we started with it a year ago, was they wanted us to be able to use, or 2 years ago, they wanted us to use wine. So that's where it got started, was in Ontario with our first kick at the cat on it.
Melissa, you can go next, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. So the BCFGA did get a chance to talk directly to the Federal Minister of Agriculture about the idea of not just wine, but also cider as security for this program. And the minister said, as politicians do, that he'll look into it. So we followed up with a letter to the minister and CC'd all the local MPs. So stay tuned. We are working on that. And then, if I may, Kelly, also just a question for Jay. Jay, you and I were talking about getting peaches onto the BC list because it was in Ontario. Any update for our growers there?
I anticipate within the next 10 days, we will have peaches on there.
Wonderful.
So
Thank you.
funny you mentioned that because I just got a phone from Ag Canada and I'm pretty sure that's what it's about. So
Fingers crossed.
I would say within the next week or 10 days, we should have. We've got 45 products right now that we're introducing into British Columbia and Alberta, and they're just going through all the pricing on it right now. So it's been in there about 3 to 4 weeks. So we're anticipating right shortly we should have somebody better have some answers. So
Great. Thank you, Jay.
Thanks for the question, Melissa. We still have a bit of time here, so if anybody wants to put their hand up or pop something in the chat for Jay, please feel free to do so.
I have a quick question. Then I was just looking, I have the application form up here looking at it. And I know he says 10 or 15 minutes on the phone, but it's an application form. Is there anything that is there a list of things that growers can have ready in order to make the process a little faster and easier? I'm just thinking it's a busy time of year.
it's a great question.
The application form is it's detailed. So
yeah, we go through it. We go through it very quick with the producer. We have gone through it. I've sat down one night at a meeting. I did about 12 in an hour, and the application looks long, but there's really not much to fill out on it once you get your tombstone data put onto it. Other than that, we just basically ask for your acreages and your yields. So, but like every application, you're right, Terry, and there's lots of stuff in the back of it and to read in terms of conditions and all that stuff. But as far as filling it out, it's really quick for us. And that's why we encourage the farmers just to call us and let us fill it out for them. When we talk to a farmer, there's a couple things we're going to ask for if you're a new producer. Number one, we're going to ask for either a copy of your passport, your landed Canadian status, resident status, or your birth certificate, or any kind of government issued ID, like a driver's license, etc. We're going to ask for one of those things each time, so you can get that ready to send to us. The other thing that we will ask for is your production insurance number. Once we get that production insurance number, that client number, then we can go to the agri or the crop insurance folks, and we can get the information that we need directly from them. So there's really not. The third thing we need from them is a void check or a bank account number where we're sending the money to. So those are the three biggies that we require. So but it's not like you have to end up leafing through a file of papers to get information for us, because 99% of the producers and the questions we ask and how we ask them, they will know those numbers off the top of their head. So prep is pretty minimal.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any other questions.
Oh, one more.
Okay, there is actually one more in the chat. So it says from Jazz, if we have ACC loan, does production insurance pay ACC out directly and then ACC pays us the remaining amount? How does it work that way, Jay?
Yes, it does work that way. What we do is we take production insurance and we get an assignment on that with your BRM administrator, and then they send us the check, and then whatever we don't need, we have to send out within 6 days. So right now we're probably sending it out within 2 days. We don't want to hold people's money. We want to get it out to them as fast as we can. So, but we do have the money comes directly to us.
Okay. Thank you. So I'll pass it over to Tyrion for some closing remarks now. Thank you very much, Jay. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, go ahead, Tyrion.
Great, thanks, Kelly, and thanks, Jay. That was a really great presentation, a really good introduction, and actually was able to answer a few people's questions. That's great. If you have more questions, please feel free probably to pass them on to ACC if we can't answer them. But if this does bring up other ideas that you have, or you know, this doesn't address my cash flow problems, please feel free to send them on to me at the BCGA, or you could send them to Melissa at the Fruit Growers Association, because we are, unless we understand really well what problems growers are coming up against, we can't actually address those problems. So we're doing the best we can. We have good boards of directors, but there's lots of things going on there out in the world. So thanks again. Thanks to Kelly and Shelby for organizing this. Again, FCC's presentation, Farm Credit Canada, next week, the same kind of thing, talking about the programs that they offer. Please attend that. And the recordings of these are going to go up on the websites of the different commodity organizations. So the Cherry Association, Fruit Growers Association, and the Grape Growers Association. Excellent. Thanks everybody for attending. It was great to see you all. Wish it was in better circumstances, but
Well,
did you have something more you wanted to say, Jay?
I was just going to say thank you all. And if there is something that you don't, or you have any further questions, you can feel free to email me at jaye@agcreditcorp.ca. So, and again, that's jaye@agcreditcorp.ca. Or call our office if you have questions. If there's anything about the program you don't like, please let us know. Because support from producers always goes a long way with us and working with the government. So, and that at every level. So, and thanks for the opportunity, Kelly and Shelby, for putting this together. We appreciate it. Tyrion.
Looks like Melissa wants to say one final thing too. So go ahead, Melissa. We've got time. 2 minutes still.
I just want to echo the thanks, Jay. There's not too many banks that would send their CEO to talk directly to growers. So we really appreciate it. I think that's the difference between ACC and your typical lenders and big organizations. We really appreciate that the head honcho is willing to take time out of his day and spend it with us. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. I'd much rather talk to producers than most of the people I end up having to talk to. So I always love talking to producers. So, and like I say, we try to make ourselves accessible. So don't be afraid to call us and tell whoever you're speaking to, I want to talk to the CEO, and I will be back to you. So.
Okay, everybody enjoy the rest of your day.
You
Bye-bye.
as well. Thanks all.
See ya.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.